I'm glad you called. We got a party going on and it's a free-for-all. I can't quite hear you, the music's so loud. Just drive this way until you see the wall. The cars will be parked all up in the yard. The doorbell's buzzing, so knock real hard.
Oh, just a let go! You're guilty!
Yeah, the house is rocking.
And if your house isn't rocking yet, it soon will be as the Cats make their way out onto Football Park in front of a huge crowd, and they're still pouring in for this all-important second semi-final between this side, Geelong with big Stephen King, the big number 1 18-year-old leading them out, Barry Stoneham there also, and the boys are pumped after a disappointing week last week. They are out for revenge tonight. Hello everyone and welcome again to Footy's home ground. Yes, you're with the best here on 7 for this all-important second semi-final. The crowd already going berserk, waiting with great anticipation the outcome of this clash. The Adelaide Crows about to make their way out shortly. The town has been building up quietly during the week, but now they're really starting to growl as Bob Hammond leads his chargers out. Malcolm Blight, a short time ago, had a few words to say with our boundary rider, Neil Curley.
Well, now, looking back at last week, you would have had to have been pleased with the commitment and the work rate of the players.
Yeah, so it was certainly a notch up probably from the previous month, and I guess tonight we'd have to even lift that again because Geelong were better performed throughout the year.
That was going to be my next. Do you think you can lift it?
Well, look, I think we can. You know, we were pretty confident after last week that we could actually do it and match them here at home. And it's going to be a bit slippery, so, I mean, that just throws another equation in the whole thing.
Has Malcolm Blight changed any coaching strategy since the Geelong days?
Not many, Neil, no. I mean, there's a couple of things that you've just redefined about yourself and the way you like to see footy, but generally speaking, I don't think the basis has changed from when I first pulled on a boot all those years ago.
And have you've been pleased with this week's preparation?
Yeah, it's been good, actually. It was quite early, but I thought Friday night was terrific. Our training really sharp.
Good luck, all the best.
Thanks, Neil.
Here's two of South Australia's favourite sons, Malcolm Blight, speaking there with our boundary rider, Neil Curley. Well, of course, the Cats, as I said, had the opportunity last week to set up a spell. It wasn't to be. So what about the challenges this week for Gary Ayres and his team?
In any game, the midfield's important, but certainly more so in a final. I think the skill factor is always very, very important. You know, and I'd like to think that, you know, we've upped our skill level this year with a lot of hard work. And I think the other thing is adjusting to the pressure that finals football is all about. You know, the basic fundamentals of the game don't change. It's just that extra pressure that comes onto the group now. And, you know, we had some of our kids get a taste of it last week, and they'll be much better for having that and experiencing that, because as much as you tell them what it's like, until they really do experience it, they won't know. And we'd like to think that's a positive for our group this weekend.
The 1997 AFL Premiership season. Proudly brought to you by Victoria Bitter. For a hard-earned thirst. Telstra, making life easier. Qantas, the spirit of Australia. And McDonald's, the official restaurant of the AFL.
Geelong's been out on the ground now for at least a couple of moments, and the Adelaide Crows making their way out now. Listen to the roar from this Crow crowd. Moment of truth for Mark Bickley and his men. If they're not pumped after that entrance, they never will be. Nigel Smart, Kim Costa, Tony Modra. The rain has come and gone. It won't affect the star full forward who is looking to get back into the big bags of goals. Joining us tonight, a man who polled more votes than anyone else back in 1988 for the Brownlow medal, Gerard Healy, and you're a man who's pumped as well. Welcome, Gerard.
Yes, thank you, Sandy. Looking forward to this match. I think Geelong are going to really give a good account of themselves. Disappointing last week, naturally, and they'll need to change their style of play a little bit, particularly if it comes down, the rain that is, a little bit harder. It has been raining all afternoon, as we know, but it has cleared temporarily. But Geelong, I think, not without some chance, but you'd have to favour the Crows, and you're right. Wouldn't that reception pump you right up?
The ground looks an absolute picture. More on that shortly. Let's have a look at the lineup. Just the one change. Trent Orman-Allen after that broken jaw coming back.
Yes, interesting selection by Malcolm Blight. Hasn't played for 6 weeks. Didn't play in the Sandford. So straight in. One suspects he'd have a job to do, maybe tagging the likes of, say, a Michael Mansfield if he goes forward, or perhaps Peter Riccardi. But bad luck to Tyson Edwards. But if you have a look at their key individuals, you'd say it'd be Nigel Smart, his run from the back line, or even if he plays on the wing today, or Matthew Rodram and Darren Jarman, as Malcolm Blight pretty coolly comes across. Johnny Barnes, what a great player, and he'll have to go forward. But the half-back line, their most important line, the Crows.
What about Geelong, Gerard? No Hall, no Lynch. Can they kick enough goals?
Well, they may have to make some structural changes. Peter Riccardi's been struggling midfield, so don't be surprised to see him go forward. Tim Hargraves has come in. We'll probably start in the forward pocket, Michael Mansfield. And I think John Barnes also to start up forward. But their midfield must dominate here tonight if they are to win. And also, they must kick some goals.
This place is rocking. I hope you can stay with us on 7 Sport. Back shortly.
If the house is rocking, don't bother knocking. If the house is rocking, don't bother knocking. Just step right in and let the fun begin.
Welcome back to Football Park. If you're not here, you're on 7 and you've got the best seat in the house. This is a fantastic view, a wonderful atmosphere, and I think we're going to be in for a big clash here at Football Park tonight. We're all set for the national anthem, the two sides lining up. Let's go down to our AFL Master of Ceremonies, Craig Willis.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Australian Football League and Coca-Cola welcome you to the second semi-final here at Football Park. Would you now please be upstanding for the playing of the national anthem.
And so we get set for the toss for this knockout final here at Football Park. The Crows go into a huddle. The Cats gather on the 50. Chadwin Toole. Andrew McLeod, what a big year it's been for him. Arguably the favourite to win the Crows Club Championship Award. Here's the toss with curls.
Here we are at the toss now. The coin is about to go up. Barry Stoneham will call. He's called heads. And he's seen heads. And no great advantage down here.
Thank you, Curls. He's kicking to the right of screen. Maybe the faintest of breeze heading that way, but nothing, as Curls said, major. In the outer, we've got two very decorated players. The 89 Brownlow medalist, the 86 Magarey medalist. They're all Australian. They're premiership players. And one of them forgot to bring a jacket. I'm speaking of the ever-smiling Paul Couch and Greg Anderson. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I went to Mars to try and get a coat, but they're all out, Sandy. It's going to be a great game tonight. It's important for the Cats to start well early. They start well early against the Crows tonight. They're a big chance. The Crows are a very good first quarter side.
All right, boys.
And we can't hear a thing.
Hear a thing at the moment. Don't worry. So long as you're with us, that's the main thing. Down to the boundary now. Here's Curls with Matty Campbell. Welcome.
Well, we have perfect conditions down here, Sandy. The rain's gone, the ground's in excellent condition, and it's going to be, I think, one of the exciting games of the year.
It certainly will. There's no wind to speak of, so either side will have any advantage. And Curls, I think it's the way the side comes out in the start will dictate the turn of the game.
Well, we saw the Crows last week start with a lot of passion. They were hard at the footy all night. They opened up a good lead into the breeze. There's no breeze to speak of tonight. If they can open in that same fashion against a very good Geelong team. And remember, the Crows last week had 5 clear winners in defence, and that doesn't happen very often.
I couldn't hear a word he said. The crowd down here is deafening, Sandy.
All right, thank you, boys. Joining us tonight, welcome, Peter Landy.
G'day, Sandy. Nice to be with you. Terrific atmosphere, and I think Geelong might cause an upset here.
Terry Wheeler.
Good evening, Sandy. It's a tough call. Interstate sides going across the border to play finals. A big ask here for the Cats.
And fourth umpire, John Russo, good evening.
Good evening, Sandy.
So here we go. The opening bounce at Football Park. Quarter time here at Football Park in this knockout semi-final. Geelong a 4-4-28. Adelaide a 1-2-8. Let's go back in time. Late in the first quarter, a controversial one. John Russo.
Yeah, Kim Costa takes the football here and realises he's about to be tackled and just puts the ball down and throws the arm out expecting a free kick. And in my opinion, Buddha Hocking very unlucky not to get that kick.
Ponder that as we go down to the boys in the outer. Paul and Greg, your thoughts on the first quarter, Couchy, briefly.
Just two different contrasting styles there. Crows are getting too slow up to their forward line, and Geelong are moving well into their back line, in through the forward line, in through the corridor. Steve, what do you think?
I think the Crows are just laying off till after half time.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then I'll start on them.
Good on you, Sid. Yes, have a chat later. Thank you very much, Sid. And Couchy there. He's only been in here 5 minutes and he can pick them out. As the second. We've certainly got a thriller at footy's home ground. The Cats a 6-5-41. Matthew Robran letting go that long bomb late in the second term. He is a multiple scorer, as is Lee Colbert for the Cats. An enthralling duel here at Football Park. Gerard Healy.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Great to see the Cats get off to a very good start. That gave them some confidence to know that they can match it with the Crows. Ben Graham doing a great job on Tony Modra, and they've got problems up forward, I think, the Crows, despite the fact that they're going quite well. In fact, they're leading on the scoreline. Robran McLeod have both kicked goals outside 50 in the second term, and Sean Wren did one in the first term. So of their 7 goals, 3 of them have come from outside 50. They're low possession shots at goal, low percentage shots at goal. And they've got to somehow find Modra some space if they're to go on and kick a big score. And I think that both coaches would go in quite happy. The Geelong coach, Gary Ayres, will be saying, we just wanted to be with them at half-time, and that's exactly what they've done, despite having given up the lead. Here's that huge kick from Matty Robran, and it was a beauty. And Malcolm Blight, I'm sure, would be saying, look, we haven't played great footy up until this point. We're in front. We can do better. We'll go on with it.
Mr. Jarman, quite sensational. His 150th game. There's always been a question mark. I know he's played in a grand final, a winning grand final side for Hawthorn in 91, but some have put a question mark over him on big games. Well, he's thriving on this tonight.
Yeah, I'm not one of those, Sandy. I'm a great fan of his, and I think that his excellent disposal really does give him greater value for his possessions. You saw him pinpoint that pass to Troy Bond, and here it is now. Troy Bond, and rather than going for the goal himself, he could have gone around or gone further. He pinpointed that fellow just to make Michael Mansfield have to match up, and that's what they've got to do, Geelong, at the other end of the ground with McLeod. They've got to get the ball to Ronnie Burns to make sure that McLeod matches up with him and he can control where McLeod goes, because he is one of their key players.
Not only might Michael Mansfield match up, but also cause him to have a few words to say after that ball wasn't held.
Yes, I think John Russell described it adequately.
Could have been payback time, but there it is, an absolute thriller here at halftime. We've got the home side just with their noses in front.
If the house is rocking, don't bother knocking. If the house is rocking, don't bother knocking. Just step right in and let the fun begin.
Well, if you just tuned us here at Football Park, stay with us now. You've got the best seat in the house, and you've got a thriller on your hands too at Adelaide. 7-6, 48 leading at half-time. 7-point leaders over the Cats, who are 6 goals 5. It is an absolute beauty. Robran has 2. Costa, Jarman, Bond, McLeod and Wren, all singles for the Crows, whilst for the Cats, Colbert and Pickering each have 2. Snell and Hocking each have 1. Time now to catch up with all the latest news. What's making news? What's behind the scenes? Well, the sporting editor of the Sunday Herald Sun is Scott Palmer, and he's hard at work now. Scotty, momentum returning to Arden Street and the boys from North.
Yes, Dennis Pagan said it was one of the club's great fight-backs this year. He said we've been in front in other games and behind in other games, but he said this was something special, Sandy. This was special, yes. This was a final, and I tell you what, he said, momentum can change in a final series if you get a win like this. And he just feels that the momentum now could be swinging North's way.
Scotty,
Terrific.
any injuries?
No injuries for North Melbourne. Another bonus. So Arden Street is celebrating tonight.
So what did Mickey Malthouse have to say after that loss?
He was at his poetic best tonight. He was talking about Glenn Jakovich, of course, when he said, quote, he who doesn't fear death by 1,000 cuts dares to unhorse the emperor.
So Julius Caesar's playing centre-half back?
No, it was just Wayne Carey who was getting a bit of a bath today too by Glenn Jakovich. But Mickey said, to all those who are glad to see us out of the finals, he said, beware. He said, we've got a group of men that's going to take us right into the future, Sandy.
Well, they virtually ran out of players, didn't they, in the end?
Oh, they were injured everywhere. And, of course, he's had a lot of injuries through the year. Jared Schofield probably was the worst player today. He suffered a suspected broken leg, but Peter Matera is crook, Jakovich was crook. They're all crook. Chrissy Lewis had to hobble off as well. So they did pretty well, the Eagles.
Now tell me, as we have a look at that injury to Jared Schofield, most unfortunate for him, a tragic way to end the season. But as far as St Kilda is concerned, what about Jason Heatley?
They came to Moorabbin this morning. Jason got out of the hyperbaric chamber, Sandy, and he trained pretty well. And by Thursday night, no worries about his ankle. He'll be in the safe side. Lukey Beveridge also with a suspected cheekbone. He's been getting over that. He's okay. And, of course, Stan Alves had the big blokes, Sirakowski, Cook and Shane Wakeland working together today, hoping to replace Everett.
Scotty, Shakespeare and hyperbaric chambers, I'm starting to get worried about you. What about the Bullies? How are they faring?
The Bullies turned out at Waverley before 9 o'clock this morning for their training session. Jose Romero was there. He did a lot of running. He reached overhead for a couple of marks, but he didn't do any of the physical stuff. Terry Wallace said he's 50-50 at this stage. He's not out of the game yet. But I tell you what, Sandy, they were unfortunate in the seconds because Nigel Callett broke a scaphoid bone in his wrist and he'll be out of the finals contention. And, of course, earlier on to Daniel Southern had a bit of a tight hamstring, so he went off a bit early in the training session.
And I believe they're a bit upset about Raiden Tallis.
Yes, they were a bit surprised that Raiden Tallis played for the Hawks today against the Bullies in the seconds because Raiden copped a 1-week suspension for the seniors, but he played in the seconds. They just can't work it out, but the AFL gave him permission to play and the Hawks did pretty well today.
Scotty, our time is just about up. Just briefly, Kenny McIntyre and the McIntyre system. Is the system going to stay with us?
Look, there's the league having a look at it, Sandy. They've put a few alternatives around to all the clubs, and I think there may be a new one in, one we can work out for next year, I reckon.
Scotty, keep punching.
Keep punching, mate.
Scott Palmer of the Sunday Herald Sun. Of course, also on Sunday and on 7, you have got the footy panel. Our special guest this week, Wayne Carey, and the Crows' Nigel Smart will also be checking on the West Coast Eagle boys as they commence their wait. Check those times, 11 a.m. Melbourne and Perth, half an hour Adelaide in right here. But just check your local guides for details. Tim Hargraves is smack bang in the middle of the Cats' rooms, just loosening up as Ronnie Hovey, who's been with this club, well, for years and years and years, just walks out of picture and contemplates the second half. So do we, and I hope you can too, right here on 7.
If the house is rocking, don't bother knocking. If the house is rocking, don't bother knocking. Just step right in and let the fun begin.
More than 40,000 fans have packed into Football Park here for this knockout final between Geelong and the Adelaide Crows. It's the Adelaide Crows, a 6-goal blast in the second quarter, who've edged clear down to the boundary line. The body language tells us that these two are feeling a little better at half-time, Curls.
Certainly is, Sandy. I think the viewers that are watching could see the difference there. The Crows boys completely on top in ruck through Wren and Pittman. Jarman was unstoppable around the ground. Robran opened up centre-half forward, and all of a sudden the Crows players got some run, and Matty, the Geelong boys that were good in the first quarter, dropped out of it.
Yes, Geelong's structure was changed. Adelaide shut it down, and you wonder how they're going to kick some goals to win this game in the second half. And you talked about Wren. It's interesting they've left Mensch and King off and put all their faith in Johnny Barnes in the ruck. So it's up to John Barnes as one of the senior players, Curls, to lift them.
We'll see what happens.
Thank you, boys. There's Barry Round, one of the legends of the game, now in the Geelong camp.
And Sean Simpson's gone on to Darren Jarman. Kilpatrick, who had that job for most of the first half, is on a wing. He's being picked up by Kane Johnson, who really did so well in that second term.
So here we go. Umpire Goldspink holds the ball aloft. Three-quarter time here at Football Park. The Cats are 8-10-58. Liam Pickering, their main scorer, with 3. Adelaide is 7-8-50. Matty Robran is their principal scorer with 2. Down on the boundary line is Puffing Billy, and here he is with Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy. And Billy tied at half-time. They really got back into it that quarter.
Yeah, good quarter for Geelong, but this is the quarter. Obviously, one of these sides in 30 minutes are going to have the end of the year, so big one.
A lot of talk at half-time about keeping the faith that you did against Sydney, up at Sydney.
Yeah, exactly, and to tighten up on Jarman, which Sean Simpson did a good job. So, she's tight, but, mate.
What's your gut feeling, Billy? Are they going to get up?
Yeah, I'll stick with the Catters, mate.
And who's going to do the job for them?
Snell, actually. He'll kick a couple this quarter, we win. Beautiful.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks for your time, mate.
Nostradamus. Well, here we go. As Billy said, in 97, there's 1 quarter of football left for one of these sides. Sean Wren is hoping it won't be the Crows. He's got the big job ahead of him in this final term. Jared, who are you sticking with?
Well, right at the moment, I think Geelong will win the game.
Here we go then.
Adelaide have to find a structure up forward that can kick them 4 or 5 goals in this term.